So you want to know how to invest in cases. Now I could sell you a guide or a stupid book maybe. However, that won't be necessary because these picks are so good that I'll make sufficient money off my own advice itself. Not financial advice. For all the people who've never invested into speculative assets before, I will give you a real-world comparison for each case that we look at. Now for our beginners, there is both a short-term and a long-term upside in investing in cases. Let's look at our short-term prospects for investing in cases. Take a look at our price ranges from September relative to today's. The case odds haven't changed, however, we've seen significant changes in the ROI of both the pink and reds within each case. And that is because Valve has added a way in which we can convert reds into golds, and subsequently pinks, purples, and blues to a lesser extent, because of trade-ups, have increased significantly. But because we've seen no changes in case odds or key price, ROI on a case-per-case basis is much higher than it was a few weeks ago. So as supply of reds goes down, as people use them for trade-ups, and subsequently price goes up because there's a lessening supply, the ROI on cases will be too large to ignore, and people will start buying cases en masse. Now, luckily for us, the only real avenue in which to buy a large amount of cases is on the community market, in which other players are the sellers. So those are our short-term prospects. What are our long-term prospects? Now, as you know, when you play the game and you level up, you are rewarded with typically one case per week. Now, I don't know the odds exactly, but my sources say it's 99% of players will get one of these 4 cases: Dreams and Nightmares, Recoil, Revolution, and Kilowatt. 1% of them will get a different case, and this is a pool of over 30 cases. So assuming there are 600,000 players playing the game, 6,000 people will receive a drop from a pool of 30 plus cases, which means that each week, roughly 200 new cases of these rare drops will be introduced into the supply pool. Now, with the supply of reds already being low for these rare cases, and such a small threshold to out-demand and out-open the supply, players are actively searching out these cases to both open and hold. This is also not taking into account that there are cases that are completely discontinued, meaning supply, and the supply you see today is the maximum it could possibly be at from here into the future. Now, while economic factors played the largest part in determining the case's price, we should also look at the subjective. That is the contents of the case. Does everything fucking suck in the case? If your answer is yes, and you are weighing it with the case with high valued items, then we go for the latter every time. So let's take a look at the Mike Water9 Index buy list. The weapon case 1 currently ranges from $60 to $100 per case, and it is a rare drop in the weekly pool. Think of this as your Bitcoin. You've missed the run up, you'll buy it, and you might make 10 to 15% per year. However, we're not going to see large 2,000, 3,000% gains as we saw in the past. This is for the risk-averse Counter-Strike case buyer. Current supply, very low. Incoming supply, low, but it is the contents of this case that make it so valuable. AK Case Sword, the most sought-after gun to get in a case. And on top of that, the knives featured in the case are from the original knife collections, of which none of the cases are being dropped anymore actively. They're all rare. Going off of that are original knives. Think of these 4 cases: Revolver, Vanguard, Winter Offensive, and Phoenix. These are your blue chips. Think Apple, Tesla. Too big to fail. And while they sit in the $3 to $5 range on average, we can reasonably see the case of these prices go from $3 to $5 to around $10 to $15. Again, these are all in the rare pool. Lesser sought after cases, such as the Revolver, have been revived by the trade-up update, making their reds just as valuable as the others, while the others had their value based on their own merit, as they feature some of the most iconic skins in Counter-Strike history: M4 Asimov, AWP Asimov, Wasteland Rebel. And because the knife trade update has increased the value of all of these cases across the board, supply will dwindle itself a little bit quicker, making this a sure buy. Class 3, Chroma, Gamma, Spectrum. These are your speculative stocks. Think Palantir, think Solana. These have a moderate amount of risk, but it's outweighed by its upside. Now, not grade red in the collections, but as we said before, the trade-up update renders that fact useless, because the real diamonds that were in this case were the knives. Chroma, OG knives, Doppler, Marble Fade, Tiger Tooth. Gamma, the Gamma Doppler, that's it, but that's enough. Spectrum, same things as the Chroma, but on the butterfly knife. People really want these knives. People are trading up to these knives every fucking day. And supply will dip so low, people will have to go and open cases to re-up that red supply. And as a price maker, you stand to gain in the long term. Quick thank you to our sponsor, Skins Monkey. Positives of both the marketplace and a trading forum. Get new skins instantly, 24/7 around-the-clock service, and an inventory selection so vast it would make one of these skin traders go get an actual job. Click my link or go to the website and enter my code Mike, and you'll be getting $5 free to use on the website on me. But that bonus scales up. I would just go for a $100 trade. That doubles your bonus to $10 free on your first trade. Better cash back than American Express. Now you can also buy skins if you don't have any in your inventory to trade. With my code, you get a 35% deposit bonus. Now they're humble. They like to call themselves a competitive rate. But how can you be competitive when you're the best? Now go and get that steez up. Which leads me to class 3. These are your highly speculative cases. This was like buying 2021 GameStop, 2021 EVs, basically anything in 2021. Now, I believe we have some Chinese manipulation going on in these ones, which is never a good sign for investing. I think they're just buying up these cases so people can't open gloves and bring down the price of their high-tier item. And as supply dwindles, as people try to, get the elusive, beautiful gloves that they have in here, they're going to have to buy back at whatever price the Chinese set. And of course, you can stand to gain there. Dreams and Nightmares is a little bit different. It trades up to great knives. However, it is an active pool drop, meaning that the incoming supply is great every week. Where we stand to gain is if Valve, in their next coming months, put this into the rare drop pool. It's $2 in the active drop pool. It's unprecedented. So if this gets moved to the rare drop pool, we can easily see the price of this case move to $10. Now that is all the cases I will cover today. However, this was a beginner's guide. So just giving you kind of a rough overview of the main players within the case market. If you enjoyed and want to talk more about cases, or if you have any urgent questions, feel free to comment or join our Discord, Y9 Swag Hangout. Thank you very much.